Hey, in this video, we're going to be sharing with you 5 ways that you can become a property developer in 2022. I'm here today with my amazing business partner, Mr. Andrew Hubbard, a builder turned property developer. If you're new to this channel, hit subscribe, smash the notification bell, and leave us a comment below. Step number 1 is finding sites. And we're actually standing outside one of the latest sites that has just been completed and sold for a massive £100,000 profit. So Andrew, could you tell us, step 1's really important when becoming a property developer.
Yep.
Finding deals finding sites is one of the highest key result areas. So how did you find this site?
Okay, so everyone thinks finding land is really, really hard, and in some areas it is, but this one was found on Rightmove. It was for sale through an agent. It used to be that bungalow's garage, and the guy got planning on it, so this was a site for sale on Rightmove with planning. Not many people looking at it, you know, just they wanted the bungalow, thinking that they were going to get the land with it, and they didn't really want the plot. But we have multiple ways of finding. We go direct to vendor, we have land sources, we will letter drop, we'll go on commercial agents. So there's multiple ways to find land, but most of our sites just come from Rightmove.
So it really is as easy as that. Building relationships with direct to vendor leads. You've got deal sources like Andrew just said. And look, there really is so much of this opportunity around right now, up and down the UK. It doesn't matter where you are, there is a massive, massive shortage of houses. And when you're starting out, it's important to also start small. You don't have to go and build 20 houses. This was a garage. Andrew did the site, in and out, completed, sold within 12 months, and made £100,000 profit. What would £100,000 do for you right now? How would that improve your life? Maybe that will get you from bad debt into some good debt, improve your lifestyle, enable you to quit your day job, get out of your business. You don't have to do many of these, Andrew, do you, before you start building up big cash reserves?
I think people think development have got to be, you know, massive developments, 50, 60 units. I think if you're just starting out, something like this is perfect. Like Liam said, in and out within 12 months, £100,000 profit. It's just one straightforward bungalow. Anybody who's done like refurbs, anybody who hasn't got any experience, you know, maybe just done some work up in their own homes, you can do this because you're just following the plans and following the system.
Amazing, great. Moving on nicely to step number 2, and that is appraising sites, understanding your numbers. Because when you go and do developments, you want to make sure the numbers stack and the computer says yes. You shouldn't be getting an emotional attachment. If it stacks, amazing, do the deal. So talk us through the appraisal process for this particular deal, Andrew, and you know why that's so important.
Okay, so you need to know your numbers. You need to know whether you're going to get a profit once it's all built. So the first thing we will do is we'll find out the end value of what this bungalow is going to be built when it's sold. So we'll speak to our agents and we'll get some comparables. So once we know what it's worth, we will then work out our build costs. And in that build cost, we'll look at things like utilities, any professional fees like architect fees, any surveys, and we put all those numbers together. And then ultimately, by the time we put them in our appraisal, it will tell us how much profit we're going to make. And on a deal like this, we normally look to make at least 25% profit. On something like this, we're making sort of 40% profit.
Wow, so the minimum is 25% on gross development value, which is the end value.
That's right.
But this particular site was 40% margin.
Yeah.
Wow, just 40%. But remember, the minimum that you need to look for as a developer is 25% on GDV. So for example, if the end value is £100,000, you're going to want to make sure that you make at least £25,000 on that site, yeah? And really, you wouldn't do a development just making £25,000 anyway. The magical target number, even if you're brand new, is making at least £70,000 to £100,000 per development and then moving up through that process. So the numbers are really important. Andrew's been doing this a long time. He was a builder for how many years, Andrew?
30 years.
30 years. Was sick and tired of being on the tools, transformed into his own developer. And, you know, Andrew does sites, I do developments. It's a wonderful, wonderful way to really build up some big lumps of cash. And anyone can get into this, even if you're a complete beginner, because you just start with small developments like this amazing property behind us. Step number 3 on how to become a property developer is planning. Andrew, you are a master at planning. Talk us through that process. Are we buying sites with planning? Are we buying sites without planning? How did you buy this site?
My advice to anybody starting out is always buy a site with planning. This one came with outline planning. So outline planning defines how many units you can get built on that plot. So this came with planning permission for one single dwelling, single story. So already we know we've got planning, and then we'll get our architect to take it through to full planning. So it's a straightforward process. My architect does all the work. This is where leverage comes into from your power team. And then, yeah, once you've got planning, you're good to go on site. There are ways of taking land with no planning through to planning, but I think for anyone starting out, just get something with outline planning as a minimum.
Yeah, because it's quicker, it's faster.
It's quicker, yeah.
You pretty much know with outline planning that you're going to get the thing built.
That's right, yeah.
What's the cost involved? Let's just use this for example. Was there any cost involved? Obviously, you bought it with planning,
yeah.
But let's say it just had outline planning.
Okay.
What are some of the costs associated with getting something through planning?
So the first thing is the planning fee. That's £462 for the actual planning permission. My architect charged £1,500 plus VAT to do all the design work, all the calculations for building regs, all the detailed drawings. So the architect is then taking it from an outline, which is just a box, and then he's designing it, saying these are the bricks we're going to use, this is the floor layouts, these are what windows we're going to use, you know, what driveway we're going to be putting in there. And he submits all that for us, and then the process takes about 8 weeks. I think this one came back in about 6, so it's pretty quick. And then they'll give the permission, or they'll just come back to you if there's any amendments to make.
Great, good, easy. So really not a hard job.
Not too expensive.
You have your power team that actually are pretty much doing the work, and then you direct your power team to make sure they're doing a good job.
Yeah.
Amazing, great. Step number 4 is my favorite step of them all, and that is funding. And yes, you can do developments using none of your own money. There's different ways in which you can get creative when it comes to raising other people's money. You have got private funders. You can go to banks, development funders, crowdfunding, bridging. You can do joint ventures, even with the landowners or with other investors. So Andrew, talk us through funding for this particular site. How was this funded? How much money did you put into the site? Because a lot of people think that you need a lot of money to do development. So just talk us through some of those numbers, please.
Okay, so I always thought you needed a massive bank full of money to do developments. And when I got myself educated, I learnt about this. I built a good power team, got a good broker, and I started using development finance. And this particular property here, we put £27,500 in to buy the land.
Just 27,500. People put 40, 50, 60,000 pound down on single let dwellings.
Yep.
That kicks them out just £200 or £300 a month.
Exactly, and you know, that is why we switched to developments. And then there was around about £10,000 worth of fees. So that was all my professional fees, surveys, all the arrangement fees for the development finance. The development finance comes through pretty quick. It's quite a simple process. They look at the deal, they look at your appraisal that you've done, and then they'll lend a certain amount of money based on that.
Great, so just to clarify, 27,000 to purchase, 10,000 for costs, so £37,000. What did you end up selling the unit for?
So this particular bungalow sold for £230,000. Bungalows are quite good because they're cheaper to build, and they fetch a higher selling price, so more pound per square foot selling price. So it's like a nice little niche to get into. Your buyers tend to be cash buyers as well because they're downsizing from housing.
Great, and then the rest became from development funding. There's a few fees there.
Yeah.
Sold the unit, paid everyone off, and then walked away with your £100,000 profit.
Yeah.
Great, amazing. So it just goes to show that you don't actually need a lot of money to go and do your first or next development. And even if you haven't got £37,500, you can just use other people's money. This is the magic of joint venturing and getting really, really, really creative. And the last step on how to become a property developer, step number 5, is getting the thing built. So Andrew, how did you get the thing built?
Well, getting it built is actually quite easy. You've got 2 choices. One is you can get a main contractor where they do everything. You're going to pay a bit of a premium for that, but it's hands off. The second one is to project manage these sites just like we do. So we'll bring in the trades at the relevant sequence and the relevant stages. The beauty of this is if you haven't got any experience, they're simply going to follow the plans that your architect has drawn.
Right.
So this is the beauty of developments. I do get a lot of people saying, well, I couldn't do that. I'm like, well, it's actually easier to do this than a refurbishment because the plans dictate what needs to be done. The trades know what needs to be done. It's easy to work out your materials. It's easy to work out your costings. QS can cost all this up for people, and it really is laid out on a plate for you. This particular one took us around about 3 months to build.
Wow.
So pretty quick.
12 weeks.
Yeah, it's a simple build. It's an up and over. It's a rectangle, nothing fancy.
People spend longer than that on doing a refurb in a 2-bedroom bunker, a 2-bedroom house.
Exactly. So, for time spent, money invested, return on investment, leverage, for us, developments is a no-brainer.
Fantastic. So again, just to clarify, you haven't got to be a builder to go and build these things. You can subcontract that out to a main contractor. Of course, if you are a builder, you can be slightly more involved. Andrew is more hands-on than, let's say, I would be, because I don't even know how to change a bloody light bulb. I'm useless at DIY, and I still also do multi-million-pound developments. So it just goes to show that you haven't got to be an expert in the field. And that was something that held me back for years, Andrew. I thought I needed to be a builder, an architect, a subcontractor, an engineer, interior designer. But the reality is, to get started in developments, you don't have to be any of those things.
No, I think the key of development is you build your power team. They're all experts in their own things, whether that's a planning consultant, a broker, solicitor, the builder, individual trades, and they all just get on with their jobs. And you are the person that sits in the middle of that jigsaw and you just piece it all together. And like you say, you can get involved or as little or as much as you want. Like you say, I like to be hands-on. My son's worked with us full time. I still enjoy working in the actual business itself.
Yeah.
And yeah, you can do as much as little as you want.
Wow, amazing. So there you have it, 5 simple steps on how to become a property developer. I really hope you've enjoyed our video. It's amazing working with Andrew, my business partner. We got some amazing things in the pipeline. Somewhere in the comments below, you'll see some resources. Click on those resources, leave us a comment below, hit the like button, hit subscribe, and we will see you in one of our next development videos.